Welcome to the No Sugarcoating Podcast. I am Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert. I am also the founder of amberapproved.ca. I support professional women achieve optimal health through mindful eating, self-care, and overcoming self-sabotage with food. This podcast provides the honest truth on what you really need to create body freedom. The No Sugarcoating Podcast provides information on healthy living, lifestyle changes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your healthcare practitioner regarding your health and nutrition program. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 218 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. This week I'm going to be exploring the work health balance struggle, costs of not addressing your emotional health, and small changes to support work health balance. So first off, before I dive into today, I just want to say welcome everybody, all new listeners who've been with me for weeks, months, years. Welcome to all of you. I'm so glad that you are here, and I hope that you are enjoying the podcast. I hope you're enjoying the first almost couple of weeks of the new year, the new decade. Happy January 2020 in this amazing new decade that we're stepping into. As per the podcast last week when I did the reflection on the last decade of your health, today, still bring your piece of paper or your journal because there's going to be some more questions for you to reflect upon. But I hope that from last week, you've maybe gotten some new awarenesses and there's some things that if you are struggling that you maybe want to change or get some support with. So I want to just dive into a couple of really exciting announcements. I have a giveaway that I'm going to be sharing a little bit about. So if you want to read through all the show notes, you can do so at amberapproved.ca/podcast/218. Be sure to subscribe to the No Sugarcoating Podcast on your favorite podcast app. You can click the link in the show notes to go right through and subscribe, or again, go to whatever app you are listening to. So I have a worldwide giveaway that is starting now. So key here, worldwide, to support your self-care in this new decade and in this new year, what I wanted to do was actually be able to have somebody win a $150 spa gift card or like spa getaway to their favorite spa in whatever city and country you live in, so that it wasn't just, the people in close proximity to me who could enter this. So in essence, if you enter and you win, we will connect with your favorite spa where you live, and it will be arranged for you to have a $150 credit there to go and indulge in some self-care and to pamper yourself. So how do you enter? You can leave a review and 5 stars. And I'm going to share with you how to leave a review, which you can do on your phone or computer. So you go to podcasts and you search for the No Sugarcoating Podcast. Even if you're already subscribed to me, you do need to find the show in this way. Once you're on my main page, you can click on reviews, write a review in purple, give me 5 stars and write a little something, or you can go to amberapproved.ca/review and it will take you to the page where you can follow the steps that I just shared. If you do leave 5-star review and some words, make sure that you email me at info@amberapproved.ca to let me know what name you left it under, just so I can go in and add you in, and as well the country that you live in, just so I can make sure that you're added into the draw for the end. If you've already left a review, the other thing that you can do is you can share the podcast on your Instagram stories or in a post tagging me. My handle is Amber Romaniuk. That's AMBERROMANIUK. And share the podcast with your friends, your followers. And then, of course, don't forget to email me info@amberapproved.ca to leave the handle that and a screenshot of you sharing the post or the story. Of course, anyone who shares, I will reshare it on my stories. And thank you. Of course, I'm so grateful for especially all of you who have been listening and finding the podcast. So thank you for all your sharing. So again, you can either leave the 5-star review with your own words of what you enjoy about the podcast. And if you've already done that, the story or the post on your Instagram. So if you want to do both, you can do both and get 2 entries. You're more than welcome. So I look forward to seeing, who this feels in alignment with and who wants to enter. Good luck. And the winner will be announced episode 225. So you have a bit of time to enter, but it will go by really fast. So make sure that you do and that you email me at info@amberapproved.ca to let me know that you entered. And I look forward to sharing with you the winner. So now I want to just go right into the podcast, but I wanted to explain that giveaway because I think it's just such a great thing to transition to for the new year. So welcome everyone. If you are struggling with your relationship with food, a specific eating style isn't working for you, you're dealing with emotional eating, food addiction, digestive issues, inflammation, perhaps you suspect your hormones are off, or if self-care continues to be a struggle, you're struggling with work-life balance, you are struggling with your weight, diets, you're just overwhelmed and you don't know where the heck to go or what the heck to believe since there's so much information out there. Well, my friends, you are in the right place because these are all of the topics that I'm going to continue to talk about, diving into the habits and mindsets to set you on a different path. Amber Approved offers private coaching for hormonal imbalances, weight loss and digestive issues, emotional eating, and more. Contact Amber at amberapproved.ca to book your 30-minute complimentary consultation today. So, exploring the work-health balance struggle. So, between me and the women that I work with and a lot of my colleagues and just other women in my circle and other, people in Facebook groups that I follow, it was so interesting because my business coach asked a question and she asked, what is your biggest struggle, with your business or your life? And a lot of the women said, I still struggle to find my work-life balance and struggling with my health and my eating and my energy and weight and, just all these particular individual struggles. And I really just, felt inspired through all this awareness that I've witnessed through, being in business for the last 6.5 years, and especially going through the holidays and everyone all of a sudden is like, oh, I'm going to set resolutions and I'm going to eat well and diet and exercise and, I'm going to take better care of myself. But ultimately, it's very difficult to actually make those changes and honor those commitments and get healthier if we don't address what are the root causes that are in the way of that in the first place, which is your mindset, your thoughts, your beliefs, your habits, your schedule. Because I find that our mindset and our thoughts and beliefs are dictating then our habits, which then if we're going and we're too busy and we're overwhelmed, that has a negative impact on our hormones, our digestion, our mental health, our relationship with food, our metabolism, so many things. And I'll dissect that more as I get into this. But I think that it's just so important to first become aware if you are not aware, or even if you are, to, really remind you that we do need some form of balance or happy medium with work and health, because if we just focus on work or taking care of everyone else, ultimately at some point our health will become impacted and it can really take its toll, and symptoms can get worse and we can, manifest illness and all sorts of things that we don't want if we don't seriously look at this lack of balance and this lack of taking care of ourselves, because our bodies can only handle so much. So pull out your journal or your piece of paper and a pen, because I want you to answer some questions, and you may want to take more time than what I give you here as I go through these questions on the podcast. Just cozy up, grab your blanket and your tea, and take some time to reflect upon these questions, because the more you can take your time and reflect, the more you get the honest answers. And I find it so powerful to read back on a piece of paper or in a journal what you wrote down, because it can really kind of make you be like, wow, I didn't even realize I felt that way. I'm quite surprised that I feel that way. And that's what can start to inspire more awareness and more change. So the first question: do you find that you are sacrificing your health to put all or most of your energy into your work, your career, your business, being a parent, other extracurricular activities? Do you find that you're sacrificing your health? So that's things like your sleep, taking time to mindfully move, to eat well, to do self-care, to de-stress and, take a bath or journal or meditate, go to yoga class, get out into nature, go on a restful relaxation trip or to get a massage, things like that. Are you sacrificing that time or not allowing yourself that time? Next question. Do you find yourself saying it's too hard to give to myself and everything and everyone else equally because I only have so much time? So essentially it's too hard for me to take care of me because I have so many other commitments going on. So The problem here, though, is that if we don't change the way that we, take care of ourselves, and we're not taking the time to understand the negative implications that it's having on our health, it's very hard to want to change if you don't know what you don't know and you're not aware. So if you're feeling things like fatigue or really low energy all the time, you're having trouble sleeping, you're bloated, you can't stop gaining weight, or you're struggling to lose weight, you have cravings, you don't have any appetite signal, or you're always hungry, you're, stress eating, emotional eating, binge eating, you're always dieting because you feel like you have a fear of losing control with food or with your weight, you're, in a low mood, you just don't feel like yourself. Like, these can all be signs that your body physically, mentally, and emotionally is not in a balanced state, is not in a state of health. So I want to give you some specific examples, and you may be able to relate to some of these scenarios, or all of them, or maybe none of them, depending on where you're at. But I want to give you some specific examples that women can face day to day when there's a massive lack of balance with work and, taking care of oneself and your health. So, I'm just curious for you if any of you relate to these different scenarios. So the first example is you wake feeling tired and brain fogged, and you keep hitting the snooze button over and over until the last minute of when you actually need to get up, because you either stayed up late on technology, so your phone, computer, TV, working, answering emails, or you had troubles falling asleep and or staying asleep. And if it's the troubles falling asleep and staying asleep, this could be because of technology stimulation, or if you're working, it can also, though, be hormone imbalances and stress. So I often find when, my clients are in the state where they're having trouble falling asleep, you feel the wired, tired feeling, or then you fall asleep and then you wake up between like midnight and 4 a.m. Like, that is total signs of hormone imbalances, things like cortisol, thyroid imbalances, very connected to your, sleep pattern being thrown out of whack. And that can have such a cascade, such an impact that can impact, your digestion, that can impact other hormones, can make you feel more inflamed, more puffy. Your clothes can feel like they're fitting tighter. You're tired, you're irritable. It's hard to focus on your day. It's hard to stand up, in your business or your career, or as a parent or a mom, and like show up fully for other people when you're not able to even show up for yourself because you're exhausted. Maybe you're snapping at other people. Maybe you're more negative and you're complaining because you're just tired and you don't feel good. You're reaching, for foods, more refined foods. So it's like you hit snooze, and then all of a sudden you realize, I have to get up, and now you're rushing. So you're rushing to get ready for your day. You skip breakfast because you're like, I'll just hit up the drive-thru, or like buy a coffee on the way to work, buy a bagel because I don't have time for anything else. I'll buy that cookie, that loaf, that muffin, even though it's going to make you bloated, or even though it's not going to satisfy you, but you have no other choice because you slept in and you didn't have anything ready. Another scenario is you don't drink enough water. You don't take time to drink water. You don't even realize you're dehydrated. And it's that 8 to 12 glasses a day, about 68 ounces, 2 liters plus, that we want to be having a day. So if you're significantly below that, you are definitely dehydrated, and that can have a negative impact on your energy, feeling tired. Often, a lot of my clients will complain about headaches if they're dehydrated, craving salt and sugar through the day. And then you find, because you're dehydrated and you're already overwhelmed and stressed out, it's only a matter of time before you get cravings and eat more processed foods. And then that just makes you feel frustrated about like weight progress, or like that you have no willpower. And then you're just kind of get into that, like, what's the point mentality? I might as well just eat poorly for the rest of the day. So it can really, one thing like dehydration can fuel so many other things, especially when we're already overwhelmed on a regular basis. Another scenario is your lower abdomen, which is largely where your large intestine resides, is so bloated and puffed out by the end of the day due to stress, poor eating, dehydration. Also, you're constipated, because often what ends up happening is when we don't drink enough water, we're eating poorly, we're not getting enough sleep, our hormones are out of whack, we have a lot of inflammation going on. It's very easy to get constipated, and that doesn't feel good. It's so uncomfortable, and then you get bloated, and then it just feels like you have this tire tube around your midsection, and you almost feel like you have to unbutton your pants, or like loosen your belt, or like, you just want to go home and put on your comfy clothes to get relief, because it's so uncomfortable to deal with that, belly bloat all the time. And another scenario is by the time you get home from work, you skipped your lunch break, you snacked on some things while you're working through the afternoon, For some people, they're living off caffeine all day or energy drinks and calorie empty foods. And so that all makes you even more tired. So by the time you get home, the thought of putting dinner on the table exhausts you further. So you hit up the drive-thru or, get more convenience food and throw that in the oven or order that. And then you're frustrated because you've just wasted a bunch of money. You've eaten a bunch of food that doesn't make you feel good. Now you feel like you have to restrict and compensate by over-exercising, even though you're exhausted. And or you feel like, well, I've ruined my diet. I've ruined my progress. What's the point? I'm just going to throw in the towel and not care for a while. Or you get so frustrated because you feel like maybe your clothes are fitting tighter. And so you have a fear of gaining weight. So, oh man, now I'm going to go and I'm going to buy some kind of restrictive diet, or I'm going to I better go and hire a personal trainer. I better go work out for 3 hours to, burn off all these calories. So it's often extreme measures that people are taking when they are in this state of kind of fighting with their body, not taking time for themselves, overwhelmed. When you're overwhelmed, you're already more vulnerable. You're more sensitive. So you're far more likely to make decisions that may not be as rational or as supportive of your health than if you were in a more grounded, mindful, relaxed state with yourself. So another thing that I find, another example of this lack of work-health balance is for a lot of people to avoid dealing with overwhelm, stress, just feeling emotions and dealing with your emotions or your stuff. You may check out fully, especially in the evenings, by aimlessly scrolling through social media, Instagram, spending time just binge watching Netflix or TV or YouTube videos to check out from reality. For some of you, it may just be, screen time or technology for checking out. And for some, it may be technology as well as wine or having a few drinks or, eating the bag of chips and not realizing, wow, I just burned through a bag of chips, or the pint of ice cream or some form of food, when you're not even actually hungry, or you're hungry, but you're not reaching for things that are going to nourish you and fill you up and keep you satisfied. So that's where the mindless eating, the emotional eating, stress eating, whatever you want to call it, comes in. I truly believe emotional eating is eating for any reason other than for physical nourishment. So there's many potential triggers that can be happening here, but the overwhelm, because you're not taking the time to slow down and take care of yourself, is such a massive force and trigger for this. And it's really difficult for one to stop emotional eating and gain a handle on their health if they're not willing to take time to slow down and really get serious and address the mindsets and taking things off their plate and delegating or asking for help or saying no. Like, that's just such an important part of this, because it's often like people pleasing and perfectionism that's fueling us to continue to overwhelm ourselves. And what is usually below that, though, is a low self-worth, insecurity, the need to get validation and approval from others, when really we should be creating our own approval and self-worth and security and confidence within ourselves. But it takes time to go in and do the deeper work. And it can be scary and uncomfortable. And I know that because I've done so much of it, but it is truly the most rewarding and fulfilling, because then you don't have to exhaust yourself, trying to take care of everything and everyone else and sacrifice your health, which ultimately at the end of the day, if we are continuing to sacrifice our health, it can get very serious at some point, which we don't want to do. So another scenario is someone who tries to eat perfectly, only organic. Maybe you don't even go out to eat, or you only allow yourself to have like the healthiest items, and you work out all the time and it's not because you're in a healthy, happy routine. You do this because you have such a deep fear of losing control with food and your weight that you feel like you have to stay in this rigid kind of like box where you only eat healthy certain foods and you have to exercise a certain amount for fear of losing control. So this is something that actually is not healthy at all, because if fear is leading you and pushing you and dictating you, often what is below that is if fear of losing control. What is below that is not feeling good enough. I'm not good enough. My self-worth is tied up in a number. So I think it's so important to understand if fear is leading your food choices, your exercise choices, your negative self-talk all the time about your body and your weight, we must address those pieces. It's not about going on another diet. It's not about eating perfectly. It is about about addressing the way you emotionally feel about yourself and your body and working on changing that. And I often find, sometimes these are also the people that keep a very busy schedule as an overachiever with big goals. You're working late, you're working overtime, you're skipping breaks, you're eating while you're working, because it's actually you may not even realize it, but it's a way to distract yourself from feeling the fear, feeling the overwhelm, or some of the negative emotions you're feeling from being so busy, or the food obsession. Maybe you're booking your schedule so full because you're tired of obsessing about food all day. And if you're busy, you don't think about it as much, rather than actually addressing the food obsession and the fear of losing control. So it's so interesting what we will distract or numb ourselves with to avoid actually dealing with what is going on. What are those root causes? I find another scenario here is that, this perfectionist, this all or nothing mindset, the having to eat perfectly and attain a certain image. But if someone brings donuts to a meeting or your favorite treat food, you internally are having this fight with yourself, no, you can't have it, you can't have any, you'll ruin your diet, you'll gain weight. Have willpower, have more control. But by the end of the meeting, you have the donut, and there's this part of you that's just in this pleasure mode, but there's this other part of you that feels so guilty, angry, and frustrated that you did that you then go into that all or nothing screw up mentality that's well, I already ate the donut. What's the point? Now I'm just going to eat whatever I want for the rest of the day, and I'll just get back on track tomorrow or on Monday. A lot of people say, oh, I'll start my diet Monday. But again, that is the opposite of the needing to have such deep control, is the losing control. And there's no happy medium between either of those when it comes to all or nothing or perfectionist thinking. The No Sugarcoating Podcast is proud to partner with Rumina Naturals, a local Calgary-based company that bridges modern science and traditional wisdom to bring effective natural solutions to new families seeking breastfeeding and newborn skincare support. Their best-selling, thoughtfully crafted formulas are pure, natural, and sourced with great care. A great admiration for Mama Earth is reflected in each of their mindful products. Milk Aplenty and Goat's Rue lactation tinctures are sold worldwide to mothers seeking lactation support. Their research-backed formulations mean their products are effective and work fast. This winter, be sure to check out their Totally Tallow Skin Cream, food for your skin from head to toe. Ultra hydrating and exceptionally soothing. Everyone in the family will love grass-fed tallow for dry, irritated skin this winter. It's ideal for pregnancy mamas and safe for your baby's delicate skin. You can check out more and shop at www.ruminanaturals.ca. That's RUMINA naturals.ca. Another scenario is you're a highly successful, business owner in a highly successful family. Maybe you're a celebrity, a public figure, an influencer that's very successful, but your schedule is so full that you're finding it a struggle to actually lose weight and get enough sleep and take care of yourself, or maybe you're continuing to gain weight. This could be because your sleep schedule is off, you're traveling so much, there's countless time zones, you're in the air all the time, you're, working 24/7, answering emails, phone calls, meetings, your schedule is just so overbooked that it's not manageable and supportive of your health. And so you feel inflamed, puffy, your face feels puffy, maybe your rings fit tight, you're irritable, you're angry at your body because you wish that she looked differently. You feel like it's maybe, blocking more success or more opportunities, or maybe you're saying no to things for fear of people seeing you and judging you and you don't want to be seen. So this, definitely can impact the hormones. High stress will certainly have an impact on your hormones if it's constant and it's over, a long period of time. But I think it's so important to address our health issues and deal with these mindsets, because instead of focusing only on success and business goals or family, we also have to take into account our health and our body's cues, our symptoms. What is our body showing you, telling you? How do you feel? And if it's not optimal, then there's an opportunity here for you to take a step back and to go, okay, well, if I'm not happy with this and this won't go away, then maybe I do need to change something. But often, again, we will keep distracting. People will keep distracting with busy schedules and focusing on growth and more success or family or giving to other people. And then the symptoms just get worse and the scenario just it gets worse. Often it will not get better if you keep piling things on your plate. And the last potential scenario is you offer to take care of others when you already are overwhelmed and tired and feeling unwell and have too much on your plate and you're at your breaking point. But because you're a people pleaser, you want others to like you and approve of you, and you put your validation and self-worth into what others think of you, you always say yes to others and then you say no to yourself. And this will continue to beat down your self-worth because you're overwhelmed, you're emotional eating, you're not happy with your weight, you don't feel well, you probably have a lot of anxiety and stress around like needing to please others. And the thought of saying no or asking for help or setting a healthy boundary to support your own health and well-being probably scares the crap out of you because you don't want anyone to think less of you or get upset with you because there's that self-worth piece. So I just think it's so important to look at these potential scenarios and can you relate to any of them, or do you already know your own scenario and you're writing it down and you're going, you know what? This is not something that's going to serve me in 2020 and I really want to, work on this or get support to work on it, or I want to start to just make some small changes on my own, and I'll talk about some changes you can start with. The No Sugarcoating Podcast is proud to partner with Herbaland. Herbaland products are sugar-free, gluten-free, vegan, and made with love in Richmond, BC. All of their vitamins and supplements come in gummy form, making them easy and fun to take. Their products are made for everyone to enjoy, including kids and adults. Whether you are struggling with capsule fatigue, have trouble swallowing large capsules, or you simply love your vitamins tasting like delicious watermelon, Herbaland is for you. And a fun fact about Herbaland is they are also the #1 gummy manufacturer in Canada. You can learn more and shop at www.herbaland.com. So that brings me to my second point, which is the cost of not addressing your emotional health. Because so much of this starts emotional. It's mindset, it's thoughts and beliefs you have about yourself, not feeling good enough, insecurities, again, the perfectionism, people pleasing, putting your self-worth or your need for validation into other people, and your self-worth is tied up in how much you do and achieve rather than just knowing you are good enough no matter what inside. So when we don't address these mindsets and emotional health, which I think is one of the core pieces of our health and well-being, and also our abilities to adjust our schedule and to make it be in a way that it supports us and our health. I often find there are many physical and emotional costs that can come with this. And you've probably heard me talk about these costs before, but I'm going to share them again because I see this all the time with my clients. I went through this myself. I see this so much online. And I think it's just so important to keep repeating it because it's an epidemic, and I don't want it to be an epidemic anymore. So when you don't address your stress, your overwhelm, your overbooked schedule, the lack of work-health balance, you probably experience more overwhelm. You may have anxiety, which is not fun to feel, panic attacks. You may not feel like yourself. Maybe you feel sad often and you have this heavy feeling like life just feels hard to navigate. You're not excited when you wake up in the morning. You just feel overwhelmed, like you have so much to do and it's just another day where you're walking through the motions. And especially if your schedule is really busy, you may be at the point where you're so overwhelmed that when you look at it and you see no white space for yourself, you just break down and cry. That to me is just a huge red flag of something needs to change, because that is not any way to live. I often find as well, when we don't address our emotional health and we are insecure and we don't feel good enough, the need to people please will grow. The perfectionism can get worse. We get harder on ourselves. The negative self-talk, pertaining to you grows. You're putting yourself down all the time. You're calling yourself names. No matter how much you achieve, you don't feel good enough. Maybe you've won an Oscar and you have a #1 selling album, or you have a very successful, profitable business, or you have great kids and an amazing family, but you're just no matter what, I still don't feel good enough no matter how much I achieve on this earth. To me, that is a sign that we have to go inward and we have to deal with building self-worth, because nothing outside of you, even the things you hold most dearly to you, will help you feel good enough if you do not. because it is your responsibility to build your self-worth. And then that all or nothing mindset can grow. So the relationship with food can become more unhealthy. You can go from dieting, restriction, fasting, extreme eating styles to binging, overeating, emotional eating, and then again, falling back the other way to compensate. Emotional eating is definitely fueled by overwhelm. And a lot of these things that I'm talking about here are all triggers like hormone imbalances, high cortisol, low cortisol, underactive thyroids, sex hormones that are out of balance, like low progesterone and high estrogen. This can all contribute to weight gain, low energy, brain fog, sluggish metabolism, troubles falling asleep, trouble staying asleep, anxiety, irritability, bloating, digestive stressors, food sensitivities, like hormones and digestion and inflammation. They can all kind of go hand in hand. And eventually that can give you more pain, more headaches. You could, manifest illness and disease, which we don't want. Maybe you have irregular periods or heavy periods. Maybe your periods completely disappeared. Maybe you can't get pregnant. Maybe you've miscarried. Like there's often hormone issues if these kinds of scenarios are happening, and it often comes from high stress. Of course, there can be other things going on too, but stress is a huge contributor. If you are struggling with low moods, irritability, sadness, anger, depression, maybe you're on medications and you don't feel like any of them are working, well, often it's because there is deeper work for us to do. And sometimes you may need those things, to support you, but there's often other avenues that we haven't explored with our health and wellness journey. Maybe you have lots of food cravings, sugar, salt, crunchy foods, fast foods, creamy foods, ice cream, chocolate, breads, cheeses, wine. Maybe you're never hungry and you don't know what it feels like to be hungry, or maybe you're always hungry. I have clients that go both ways. Maybe you find yourself always making poor food choices and you're just in this I don't care mentality because I'm so tired and I just don't care. But that's all having a negative impact on your health, your weight, your digestion, your energy, and of course, your self-confidence. Maybe it's deterring you from dating or taking a promotion or opening your own business or making more money. Maybe it's having a negative impact on your relationships with your spouse, your kids, your friends, your family members, your coworkers. Maybe you're mindlessly spending, because I've had clients, and even I in the past, when I was shifting out of my food addiction, I started spending money and buying more clothes when it was just another way to try to fill the void. But you attract less than ideal situations as well, like a fender bender, a speeding ticket, leaky pipes in your house, unhealthy relationships. When we're in such a negative mindset, it can be difficult to, have sometimes good things show up. So I think it's like, if you're not happy with your life and what's going on, take a step back and look at how you've been thinking and the way you've been treating yourself and your body. And if, things match up there and you're going, wow, I think there's some things here that I really need to look at, I encourage you to take some time and think about how you want to address that, because doing nothing and staying in the same spot is not probably going to lead you to a place of empowerment. The No Sugarcoating Podcast is proud to partner with Prairie Naturals, featuring their range of exceptional salon quality formulas made with love in the beautiful Okanagan Valley. Prairie Naturals has been helping create beautiful, healthy hair naturally since the early 1990s. They are leaders in natural hair care products in the Canadian marketplace. As a family-owned and operated business, health and environmental responsibility has been a primary focus. With more than 40 products, Prairie Naturals hair care line has proudly created products to support individual hair needs. We especially love the new Collagen Care formula and the Wild Rose Styling Serum. Prairie Naturals hair care products contain no SLS, parabens, phthalates, MEA, DEA, TEA, xenoestrogens, propylene glycol, synthetic colors, artificial fragrances, or mineral oil. All of the formulas are non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, cruelty-free, which means no animal testing. You can learn more and shop at www.prairienaturals.ca. So I want to go to my last point, which is small changes to support work-health balance. Keywords, small changes. It's not about big extreme changes. So I think one of the first things to do is to actually pull out a piece of paper and draw a circle and it's like a plate, and it's like what's on your plate. So, write down all the commitments and things you have on your plate, and then look at self-care and time for myself and how much time are you spending on that versus for everything else. So work, food prep, school, for if you're in school or you have kids in school, family, career, business, travel, right? Goals, sleep, movement, how much time are you spending on technology? I think these are some key areas to look at. And, in being that it's a new year, what are you accepting as your level of busyness for yourself? What is tolerable and what is too much? Because recognizing that you are the person who has the power to change this is huge. Yes, there's certain things we may not have control over, things that may come up unexpectedly, but we have a lot more control to manage our schedule and this busyness than we allow ourselves to. But we have to first be aware. And it is about standing up for yourself and declaring what kind of life you want to live. And if you want a happy, healthy, energetic, fun, expansive, open, confident, loving life, and you're not in that now, then it's like, what do you need to do to change that? And especially if you find you're always sick, catching colds or flus, you don't feel well, you're bloated all the time, you just have endless symptoms, your body is saying, this is not working, this busy schedule, this overdoing it all the time, this is not working for me. Your body communicates with symptoms. So if you are struggling with these things and want to improve, different actions must be taken. And if things don't change, unfortunately, sadly, it does get worse. And I'm not an advocate for that. I'm an advocate for you guys to make changes so you can, have a positive impact on your mood, your health, your body, your relationship with food. So as I asked before, where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want your health to be in 10 years? And if you are challenged now and you're not addressing it and not making, the changes, the likelihood of having the goal of state of health that you want is very small compared to if you make those changes, it's far more likely that you will achieve that. And so I think it's just so important, to look at the mindset and the emotional pieces. And, the deeper work is the key. And it may be scary, but it is the greatest place. It is the place of the greatest freedom. Because I think, a lot of people hop on a bunch of supplements or health products, and sometimes, we need some supplements. But that is in conjunction with mindset, lifestyle changes, nutrition, sleep, hydration, mindful movement. And it's, because if the supplements and the health products and the fads and the diets worked, then I really think that people wouldn't be suffering as much as they are. So we've got to be willing to go in and do that deeper work. So I want you to really do that exercise. Next up, I think it's just important to pick like one thing at a time. So is it sleep? Is it, hydration? Is it you want to get support overcoming emotional eating, or you want to get help dealing with these limiting mindsets? Like reach out, book a 30-minute complimentary body freedom call. Take the emotional eating quiz if you're curious, if you're struggling with emotional eating. If you're already working with someone or you're considering, take that action step. Pull out your schedule and start blocking off time for yourself every day. Take your lunch break. Take a snack break, go for a 5-minute walk around the block. It's just picking one or two things and starting with small changes and achieving those things for a while and building them into a habit. And then you can add another thing in rather than feeling like you have to do it all at once, which is not realistic and will probably lead you to being overwhelmed. So I want you to just pick one or two things to work on. And if you've drafted up an email 10 times over to reach out to me, I encourage you to hit send. There's just such an opportunity here to make transformation, and it is the perfect time to do it now, if it speaks to you too. And if not, any time whenever you are ready is the ideal time for you. So small changes, take the plate, draw it out, put all your commitments and to-dos on it, and see where you're at compared to the time you're taking for yourself. Let's start with that and see what you get out of it. I'm always very curious. Feel free to send me, what shows up for you. You can email me at info@amberapproved.ca with your plate or your awarenesses, your learnings. And of course, if it's resonant, feel free to reach out or talk to a friend about it. Talk to somebody about it. Talk to your family about it. I think sometimes communication can just be such a great way to start to get things off of our chest and then move forward. So that's where I want you to start. We will go further with this as we get into 2020 and more episodes come out. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. The show notes can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/218. Again, if you have questions, feedback, or podcast ideas, you can email them to me at info@amberapproved.ca. Be sure to take the emotional eating quiz. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. And of course, as I always say, there's no better time than the present to take action on your health and your schedule and the overwhelm. So take action now. Have a beautiful day, a great week, and I will look forward to sharing a whole new episode with you guys next Sunday. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, review, and rate this podcast and share it with your friends. You can find me at amberapproved.ca and follow me on Instagram and YouTube at amberromaniuk. Join me next Sunday for another brand new episode and another step toward body freedom.